My name is Michael Young, and I'm a lawyer who handles contested estate and life insurance cases. In this video, I'll talk about the concept of community property. Texas is one of 9 states that's considered a community property state. Now, most often this arises in the context of divorces, but the concept of community property will also come up in the contested estates and the life insurance cases that I handle. Essentially, community property is property that one of the spouses obtains during marriage. And Texas law presumes that property that one spouse gets during marriage is community property that's jointly owned by both spouses. Now, there are a few exceptions. Property that one of the spouses obtains via a gift or via an inheritance or a personal injury settlement during marriage are still considered separate property. But the biggest class of separate property typically is property that one of the spouses owned before they entered the marriage. And it's a very important concept here that many people, including attorneys, don't understand. But Texas follows the inception of title rule. And that means that once a property is community or separate, it doesn't change after that point. And for example, in the life insurance cases I handle, if state law applies rather than federal law, then a spouse may have a claim to at least some of life insurance proceeds if a policy is community property. Well, the first thing and most important thing you have to look at is when was the insurance policy acquired? If the insured bought the policy before they were married, it's a separate property policy. And it doesn't matter whether community funds were used to pay the premiums after marriage. The other spouse may have a claim for contribution for half of the premium payments that were made during marriage, but generally that may only be a few $1,000s when the policy payout may be 300, 500,000 or $1 million. So it's very important to understand whether a policy is community or separate property, and there's a lot of misconceptions there. And the same thing with estates. Does a party have the ability to control an asset via the will? Does a spouse have rights to half of an asset if it's community property, regardless of whether their spouse leaves it to them in a will? These are very important concepts, and it's extremely important that you contact a lawyer who has experience handling contested estates or life insurance beneficiary disputes.